Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Paige, this is Seeking Alexandria, and guys, today we're doing a product updates. I've been going through, I've been working with a ton of products, and I am bringing you 10 today. I've talked about them in the past. I told you I would update you, and girl, today I have some tea. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with some Tarte. I did do a full first impression of these, which I will link right up here for you guys, but I have some additional thoughts that I want to share. I told you in that video I would come back after I've used them a while, alone, with each other, with other products, and just give you more of a well-rounded opinion. So the first thing I'm going to start with is this Tarte base tape. I do not like this. It is so milky. The consistency is not enjoyable, and it just doesn't suspend. It just runs all over the place. And when I put this on my face, it doesn't even feel like I'm putting on like a serum or a primer or anything. It just feels like I'm putting on like this weird, like thin milk that for some reason leaves like a film on my skin. I can't describe it. It doesn't sink in all the way, but it also doesn't sit on the skin and leave me nice and poreless either. It is just completely in between. Now, the one time I did manage to get it to sink all the way in, I really had to work with it and massage it, and I didn't put on much moisturizer just to see if I could get it to soak all the way in. I still didn't like it because it didn't do anything. Like, for me, this product was just pointless, and it's very heavy on the coconut side, which I know has a tendency to break some people out, so if that is you, steer clear. But for me, it didn't break me out. It just didn't do anything, so for me, this is a pass. And then from there, we dive into the Shape Tape Powder Foundation, and here's my issue. I'm gonna just say it because I feel like everyone is thinking about it. You swatch it, the coverage is great. You're gonna think, wow, Shape Tape. What else have I heard of that's Shape Tape? Oh wow, that's right, their best-selling concealer that has the most beautiful coverage that everyone loves. It is a cult classic. It is full coverage. It is known for being a full coverage concealer. And then you come in here with all these other products and you want to just throw that Shape Tape name around. Well, when I get a Shape Tape powder foundation, what's the first thing I'm going to think of? Coverage. I'm gonna think, wow, I'm gonna think, damn, this is gonna look so good. If I put this over maybe a lighter coverage liquid foundation, it's gonna give me more coverage. No, honey, you swatch it, you put it on your skin, and you're like, where did it go? Where's my coverage? And so once I got over the lack of coverage, which for me just immediately sucked, but I was like, okay, let me see if I can use it for something else. So I thought finishing powder. I kind of put it all over the skin, tried to just use it as a light setting powder, didn't like it, left me blotchy. Okay, well, it's nice and bright. Maybe I could use it as an under eye brightener. Oh no, made me look chunky, cakey, creasy, and 100 other things. So this I am not a fan of either. And then this last product I did talk about a little in that video, and I just wanted to revisit it a touch. This is their Double Duty Beauty First Step Prep Moisturizing Reset Cream. And in that video, I wasn't a big fan of this. Now, since I shot that, my skin has changed a little bit, and it's been a little bit more on the dry side. And I did want to throw out there that if you do have drier skin, you might really like this, because my skin didn't hate this as it became more and more dry. I do feel like it gives kind of an oily sheen to the skin, which might be something, again, better suited for that normal to dry skin person. My biggest issue is that I feel like even if it does work for you, would you reach for this as skincare? Because technically it's a moisturizer, and I personally would feel like you would have 100 other moisturizers you would reach for that would maybe give you a better targeted concern. So it's not that it's necessarily bad if you have dry skin. It's just, for me, I'm kind of like, okay, it's a moisturizing cream, but like, what else does it do? Like, in today's day and age, we can have moisturizing creams that do everything. They're chock full of, you know, hyaluronic acid, or they have anti-aging ingredients, or they have this or this or this. Like, they're so flashy and so awesome. And I just feel like, why would you purchase a cream from a company that's more known for cosmetics when you could purchase a cream that is comparable in price, that you know is going to give you a ton of other skincare benefits? I just don't know that I'm like die-hard obsessed with it. And it also does leave me with like a very oily film on the skin that I don't love. But again, if you are more on the dry side, like dry, it might be something you like. I just don't know that I would recommend it. So on this one, I did change a little bit from my original standing. Again, for my skin, is it that great? No. I could see why somebody might like it. Just look out for that film that it kind of leaves on your skin. That's not enjoyable. And just be mindful of all the other skincare options you have out there before you dive into this one, because girl, you can get something way better for the price. So this next one is funny just because of what it incited in the comments with a couple of people, which I died laughing. Like, your comments truly do make my entire existence. So this is the Fenty How Many Carats highlight. And when I first used it, I was like, I don't like this. It's straight glitter. Like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? Yuck. And one of you in the comments was like, girl, I'm gonna fight you. Use it this way. Try it again. It is so good. You have to love it. You have to. It will break my heart. And I was like, damn, okay, like, this girl's about ready to really fight me. Like, I need to figure out my tea. So I went in and I have actually been really enjoying it. So thank you for encouraging me to try it again. And the trick with this is you have to use it pointedly. So I'll actually take a little bit like on my finger, and I actually did it today, like just at the very tippy tip of my cheekbones right up here. And you take it in a really concentrated way, and it will just blind everyone. It is so absolutely stunning. Now, do I still stick with my original diagnosis? Yes, this is still very glittery. However, this is beautiful when concentrated like that because you don't really see all of that glitter all over the place. Whereas when I first went in and used it, I swiped it all over the cheek and I was like, what the hell is this? I look like the glitterazzi man over here. Like, this is not my jam. And after going through and really targetedly using it, it is beautiful. So is this something that I would use as like an all over highlight? No, but as a targeted, like I just want that extra little pizzazzle on the cheekbone, it does do a beautiful job at catching and reflecting the light. And even more than that, you guys, this photographs stunningly, which is so perplexing to me because when you look at it up close, all you see are individual little glitter particles. But then when you put it on the skin and you like photograph it, it just, every single little piece of glitter is like a disco ball and it just reflects so much light so beautifully. So I guess at the end of the day, would I recommend it? Yes, I think it's beautiful. If you don't mind having a product like this that's just for that one little like here, there kind of really glammy moment, this is what will take a highlight that is already a 10 and make it an 11. So if you're like me and you do not love a glitter highlight, girl, just give it a minute because this for me, it's like Beauty and the Beast, if you will. They meet and they're like, oh, hell no. And Bella's like, oh, it's no, you're not my thing, Beast, get out of here. That was me with this glitter. I'm like, I don't like glitter. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait, you have a library? Oh, wait, you have like talking candlesticks? Oh, okay, like I love you, let's do this. And then before you know it, you're like, wait a second, could you be what my life is missing? Are looks deceiving? I mean, it really is a tale as old as time over here, people. This is just so beautiful and I did fall in love with it. So I had to go ahead, put it in this video and let you guys know because wow, look at that. Okay. All right, so smack dab in the middle of this video, I am going to throw in the Hourglass Vanish Foundation. Whew, guys, I did a full review of this. I will link it up here. So the first thing I'm gonna say, I have used this about 10 times. I have tried it with a ton of different primers. I've mixed it with foundations. I've mixed everything you can think of, and I have some very definitive thoughts. So the first thing I'm gonna say, I do not love the coverage of this. I feel like they are a little bit more deceiving with this half a pump thing. And if you have beautiful skin and only slight hyperpigmentation, sure, a half a pump might do ya. But if you have any red spots that are like deep red hyperpigmentation, acne, cystic acne, anything like that, this will not do it for you. And I say this as someone who is so sad because I was sitting here thinking this is going to be like my Catrice, this is going to be like my Dior Forever, this is going to have that much pigment and that much coverage, but it's going to be the Hourglass Vanish, so it's going to be like smooth and natural looking on the skin and it's going to be lightweight. And I was so let down at the amount of coverage I had to build with this foundation. And then even beyond that, I went through and I did a side-by-side comparison like day to day from this one to my Dior, and no matter what, this just doesn't look as smooth, it doesn't look as seamless, it doesn't look even remotely as natural and as effortless on the skin as I would say my other 3 or 4 top foundations. So for me, the coverage was like the biggest #1 hi-ya because I do have very red, very hyperpigmented areas on my skin, but to be fair, it does have a beautiful wear time, it has a beautiful like natural finish to it, which I do love. The oil on my skin wasn't super bad. This is like more of a natural finish. So I did have some oil peeking out near the end of the day. So it's not all bad. It's just, is it my preferred foundation? No. I have to build it up so much that it ends up looking a little thicker, a little cakier, and settling a little less well than so many other foundations. So for me, it's not awful. It's not great. I'd give it, for my skin personally, I'd only give it like a C+. Like it's just not my thing. And I actually was FaceTiming with a friend of mine and I even asked her like, okay, you saw me yesterday with the, with this one on. Today I have the Dior on, like, what do you think? And even my friend was like, yeah, no, that one, like your Hourglass doesn't look nearly as good. It doesn't look nearly as seamless and it doesn't photograph nearly as well. So for me, not the best. I know a ton of people are loving it. This is one of those foundations for people where it's like so polar opposites. And that's because we all have such different pigmentation on our skin. We all have such different needs. Whereas I need a lot more coverage. Someone else might need less coverage, but they might need a longer wear. So for them, this would work great because the wearability, super nice, but the coverage for me just isn't there. So it really does depend on what you're looking for. I do have other recommendations I would make over this foundation, obviously. So for me, you know, kind of an in-betweeny weenie, not bad, not great. And while we're on the topic of foundations, this Morphe foundation, I'm not talking today about the concealer or the powder because my opinion on those is still a little bit hit or miss, but this, I'm gonna put it over here. No, oh my good Lord, I do not like that foundation. I don't even have words for like the way that this sits and thickens up and almost cakes onto the skin. Oh my good Lord, I do not like it. I feel like the coverage was pretty good, but the overall consistency, it felt like I was putting on a clay mask. That's how thick it felt. And I even tried to shear it down and cut it with a glowier foundation, like just to see if I could make it work. And girl, there was no making it work. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and drone on. I do have a full first impression, which I will link up here. It's just, for me, it is not my jam. I would not reach for this again. I haven't reached for it again. Hell, I haven't even thought about it again, because for me, it sat so heavily. It's like I could feel it on my skin, and oh my God, like the thought of it makes my skin crawl. So for me, it's too heavy, it's too thick, it's too cakey. And if you have dry skin, run in the opposite direction. But if you do have super oily skin, you could give it a try, because the mattification properties alone in this thing, girl, they will stick to you like glue. But for me, on the more normal spectrum, girl, no, it was not my jam. Not loving it. Too thick, too cakey. Flop. So moving on to some Makeup Revolution. These are some products I did recently in a full face of what's new at the drugstore. It had e.l.f., Makeup Revolution, Catrice, a ton of new awesome stuff. I will link that video up here for you guys. And these are the Makeup Revolution Cut Crease Canvases and the Prime and Lock. Now these specifically are in this video because I've used them quite a few times now, and I don't care for them. I think that overall, all three products, if I had to sum it up, they're too oily for my already somewhat oily lids. So everything tends to move and shift around. And the Cut Crease Canvases, I'm like, I love the concept, but if I have a concealer, I just don't think you need these. Plus, I don't feel like these really lock in the shadow to my lids as well as a concealer does. So for me, immediately, these were like a no-go, no thank you. But then the Prime and Lock, which is just supposed to be a long wear eyeshadow base, I just don't find that this does much of anything. And even though it looks like there's color to it in the tube or even in swatch, when you apply this all over the lid, it shears out to like a very unflattering, sheer, like milky consistency and coverage that I don't love, and it doesn't make my shadows last any longer. It moved, it shifted, both of them did, and I wasn't a fan. So if you're looking for a good eyeshadow primer, these ain't it, girl. So now the last two products I'm gonna mention today are the Fenty products. So if you didn't see this video and you wanna see me look like baddie, which it's a whole situation, go ahead and click up here. I did a full review of both of these products. Now the first thing I wanna throw out there is that for this concealer, obviously I grabbed the shade 100, which is too light for me. I know, trust me, we've talked about it. We've all had a good hearty laugh at my expense. It's fine. But I'm gonna dive into the biggest issue I have with this, and that would be, first and foremost, I don't think the coverage is there for me. For some reason, I was just really hoping it would be more. I thought it would cover like my blue inset circles right here. And no matter what I do with this, no matter how much I build, it always shears out to be less coverage. So I don't love that side of it. Is much more on the light medium side of coverage, in my opinion, because the dark circles under my eyes aren't even that dark and it doesn't cover those. So for me, the coverage, lackluster. Now, with that out of the way, the finish of this is quite beautiful. I love the way that it has a very nice, natural kind of lit look under the eye. It is beautiful. It doesn't sit down and get super matte, super cakey. It is just a very nice presence on the under eye. This shade in particular, the shade 100, while it is too light for my total under eye, it's actually beautiful to brighten up the inner eye and kind of pull down if I have maybe a darker concealer that I want to use, or if I just feel like, ooh, like my under eyes are looking real dark today. Maybe I didn't sleep very well. That happens a lot. This does go in and add a nice brightness to the under eye and inner corner right there, which I quite like. So the shade, although it is wrong for sure, it's also kind of right, because it's given me a little bit of like extra glow, extra love under there that I didn't realize I wanted or needed some days. So I do like it. Again, I don't love it because the coverage isn't there for me, but it isn't bad. Did I expect more from a Fenty concealer? To be honest, yes, I did. I really thought that this would have more coverage. That is probably more than anything what blows me away. However, two huge thumbs up to Fenty for giving us yet again another shade inclusive launch. Like, I can't tell you, the fact that this is even an option in a concealer of what did they launch with, like 50 shades? I'm like, are you kidding? Yes, queen. Like, thank you so much for being so inclusive. So for that alone, you automatically score like major brownie points with me. I think the shades are great. I love the way that the line is very cohesive between the concealers and the foundations. I love all of that. It's just, for me, again, the coverage, even on my hand right here, you can see, and I put down like a pretty thick coat when I swatched it out just now, and you can still see all of the blue veins under my skin, under the concealer. And overall, that is my biggest issue with it, is the coverage. So moving on to these powders, the first thing I want to mention, other than the fact that I'm making a complete mess, is these feel freaking weightless. Like, I have never touched a powder. Like, as I sit here and I dip my finger into it, if I had my eyes closed, I wouldn't even know that I was dipping into a powder. That is how light and finely milled these are, and I love that. Now, Let's talk about the lavender shade first, which is this guy right here. The way that it sits on the under eye is beautiful. It is very bright. And originally I was like, I would never use this because it's going to make my under eye look too bright. It's going to make it look too stark under there. And I still agree with that. Like, would I use this shade to set my under eye? No. However, let me grab a brush here. If I want to go in and take on a tulip brush a very, very light amount of this powder, tap it off and apply it to the under eye, it will illuminate your under eye so much. It looks gorgeous. And again, right now I have all my makeup on, so you're not going to be able to see as stark of a difference, I don't think. But overall, it is a beautiful brightening powder. If you want just like a very thin veil, you don't want to go in, cake on a ton of powder, this is great. Also, if I go in, I set my under eye and I'm like, ooh, wait a second, I'm looking a little dark. I kind of want to brighten up. I can bake with this shade and it yet again looks very bright under the eyes. Now, to be fair, I do have to be careful taking it any farther than like right up in here, because if I take it all the way down, I tend to have a mask look going on because it is so bright and it's so almost white lavender gray undertoned that it can cast a little funny. But if you're careful with it and you are on the super fair side of things and you're looking for that very, very bright, like stark white under eye moment, this is a great powder for that because you can do, again, a lot with it. So for this shade specifically, I have used it a lot and I do feel like it has a lot of really nice brightening properties, just not as a setting powder. So along those same lines, still not a setting powder, but the shade Butter, if you want a finishing powder that is finely milled, that will go in, settle into your fine lines, your pores, your wrinkles, your situations on your face, and make them look smooth, this powder is so stunning for that. For me, not hefty enough to be a setting powder. When I need to set my face, girl, I need it to have a little girth. I need it to have a little something to kind of get in there, fill in those pores, and have a little structure to it. And these powders do not have structure. They are very thin, very airy, which is great in the right respect. So in this instance, basically what I'm saying is their gift is their curse, because I can't set with them because they're not heavy enough, but because they are so light, so airy, so fluffy, they buff into the skin over top of everything and just fill in every little nook and cranny, and they blur things out that you didn't even know weren't blurred. That is what's beautiful about these. I will actually go in and I'll kind of powder like a light dusting of maybe my Maybelline Fit Me all over my face, a more robust powder, still beautiful, still finely milled, but just a little bit more of a girthy powder to it. Put that all over the skin to really lock my foundation in, and then to go in and dust off that, I will go in with this Butter shade and just lightly dust it all over the skin. And what it does is it's so finely milled that it kind of replaces any leftover powder from that Maybelline Fit Me. It removes that and in its place leaves this super beautiful, finely milled, like blurred effect from this powder. And it's just, there's no way to describe it other than as a finishing powder, I think it's beautiful. It does go through, again, it smooths everything out, makes it look stunning. So one question I have been getting quite a few times just to touch on is this as a finishing powder, which I keep saying it has a beautiful blurring effect and it's so smoothing and yada, yada, yada. Is it comparable or consistent with like an Hourglass pressed finishing powder, which I love those. I use them all the time. I used one today. I think that they are some of the most beautiful pressed powders on the planet as far as a finishing powder goes. In my opinion, the Hourglass one, when you apply it to your skin, it goes on and it just fills everything in and it makes everything look very blended and smooth, whereas this one goes in and it's more of like a blurring effect. It's a very light difference between the two, but this one also delivers a lot more product to the skin because the Hourglass pressed powders are so finely milled and pressed that you pick up a lot less of them, so the cast is different on your skin. Again, these are very minute differences. I do think overall that this one is a great blurring option. Do I still think Hourglass is like on a tier all its own? Yes, it always will be. I love Hourglass like hello, goodbye. But do I think that if you pick this up and you're looking for a beautiful finishing powder, you will be disappointed? No, I think there's a ton of shade options. I think you can do a lot with these, and I actually have used this as well to brighten up my under eye, and even the Butter shade does work beautifully for that. Again, it's not as bright as the lavender, but it does do a beautiful job. Can't use either of these powders to set my concealer or to set my makeup, but as far as going in, making it look blurred, these do a great job. So would I recommend them? I guess yes, because as a finishing powder, I think they're super beautiful. Do I think there's a ton of other options or that you need them? Ooh, that's kind of up to you. If you find that when you apply your foundation and stuff, it's a little porous or it's a little cracky, or maybe you could use just a little smoothing, then maybe pick them up, maybe give them a try, see if you can get a sample. But you guys, that is it for this video. Please leave me all of your thoughts down below, especially with these Fenty powders because I'm super, super curious. Like, are other people, after we've all kind of been having them and using them for a minute now, does everybody feel like me, or do they work to set your makeup entirely? What are your thoughts? And while we're at it, what are your thoughts on everything I mentioned today? Because I feel like as I was going back through in my head, like this was almost like one step away from a product fails video, because I feel like this was just not it. Like every product in here, I was like, nope, nope, nope. But you know what, guys? Like sometimes that's reality, and I'm always going to be the one to tell you guys, this is the truth, and this is what you need to know. This is what you don't need to know. But you guys, at the end of the day, sometimes that happens. Sometimes a lot of products fail all at once. We have a ton of good ones. We have a ton of bad ones. It happens. But I'm never going to sit here and sugarcoat it for you guys and then potentially let you like waste your money on something just because I didn't tell you like the full truth behind it. So these are my thoughts and my opinions. And always, I want you guys to leave your thoughts and opinions down below. That way we can all kind of glean from each other. Maybe you liked something I didn't. Tell us why, what kind of skin you have. Maybe that would explain it. That way, if there's someone in the comments that's, you know, curious, that has closer to your skin type than mine, like maybe we can all kind of glean off of each other's experiences and learn a little bit. So leave your thoughts and all of that down below. And also, while you're down there, don't forget to run on up to the description box and follow me on Instagram and on Twitter. Y'all know the tea at this point, but I'm bucking to get verified. I'm trying so hard. So please keep following me over there. And also don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications, because guys, I'm here 5 days a week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The videos go up bright and early between 6 and 7 a.m. my time here in Northern Michigan. And we talk about everything. Makeup, love it, hate it, product updates. We talk about everything. And I love it. It is such a good time that I always get to sit down and have with you guys and go over products, whether they're new, old, or otherwise indifferent. So thank you all again so much for watching. Please do not forget to have a great day, night, weekend, whatever it is when you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so the hair today just did not cooperate. Like, do you see how it's back? It's like the punishment zone. Like, I'm sorry, hair. You're not gonna curl. You're not gonna lay flat. Guess where you're going? Right on up top. That's right. Don't mess with me. This is something yep, still doing it. Oh, so good. Ooh. Ooh, could you hear my back just pop? Oh my God, that was a pop for the ages. Whoop, pop. I could feel that one in my soul. I thought for today we would sit down. Okay, was there a fuzzle on my nose that entire video? Guys, if there was, I'm sorry. There was definitely a big wad of like fuzzy purple cotton right here from my sweatshirt. Cute.